Hey everybody, this is Elise from Camp Aska, and you're listening to Camp Aska, the podcast, the show that dives into all things Aska and the people that make camp the incredible place it is. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media to stay up to date with what's happening here at camp. That's at Camp Aska, CampAscca.
Hey, everybody. We're back with Camp Aska, the podcast. I'm Matt Rickman, Camp Aska's camp director. And today we're talking with Michael Pereira. Michael is the creator of the Autism Voyage. He has a son with autism spectrum disorder and was sparked to create content for families navigating the autism journey, or should we say voyage? And so welcome, Michael. We're glad to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we definitely want to learn more about what you're doing, but we did want to start off and just kind of learn a little bit more about you and your family. So if you don't mind, if you could just kind of tell us maybe where you're from and a little bit about your family.
Of course, of course. So, I was born in Atlanta, raised in Puerto Rico. I'm located in Miami. But everything started as any person who wants to have the American dream. So came to United States looking for again the American dream, bought a house, got married, had our first child, Christian. And obviously I came from corporate America, working a lot, traveling a lot. And I thought that that was again the American dream until obviously life throws us a curveball. And around when Christian Omar is our first born, when he was around 1 year old, we started noticing some symptoms that we knew that it wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't normal, but we knew it. We hadn't seen it before as first time parents. Obviously, we go into this phase of denial. Which is very, I would say it's important to understand that denial could be dangerous in some point, but we went through that phase of denial it hits every point of you, from ego, from being able to say, hey, I don't think he has anything, he's all right. Plus also I've said it in other interviews, just looking out who you're listening to, your family. In my case, our family would say, hey, don't worry, he doesn't have anything. And imagine being in denial plus having advice that he doesn't have anything could, again, procrastinate any early intervention. But regardless, around 1 year old, we started seeing some symptoms. COVID came by. So I was able to stay home. A lot of the symptoms we saw reduced, I would say. Don't know why. I don't know if because I'm a little bit more stricter than my wife. I don't know if because all the attention was on him. But when COVID released, all those symptoms, I would say, came back full force. Symptoms, hitting his head against the wall, tiptoeing, aligning stuff, was nonverbal. At one point, he started to talk a couple of words when obviously COVID released. Those words started to, disappear. Why? Because I started traveling again. And I think those transitions, obviously, he wasn't good in that transition. So it came to a point that, long story short, we needed to have him diagnosed because we knew that he needed help. We needed to just surpass the denial phase, the ego, not think about ourselves and think about his best interest. So we got him diagnosed, and long story short, we've been just 100% supporting him in every phase that he's in, all his progress. Why? Because we love him, we love our family, but we just decided to 100% focus on this because we truly believe that that therapy for us truly begins at home. Right? So left corporate opportunities and decided to help families like mine, basically.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And like you said, during COVID, that had to have been some difficult times. I know, I have it's a blessing that I've been able to work at this camp for 26 years. I met a lot of families and talked to a lot of parents, and gosh, it's just always, everybody's journey's different. And I can't imagine, yeah, going through that as far as like you said, you're in a bit of denial and trying to figure things out and then to get that diagnosis. So what's it like once you get that and when, you're kind of beyond that stage. So now you have a diagnosis and so kind of what's next?
In I would say in our case, having that diagnosis, you know, lifted up a lot of stress because now we say, okay, now it's not that we're assuming something. It's not that, now he has it perfect. Now let's accept it, right? That acceptance phase obviously comes with a lot of adjustments, right? So I would say first, it's just getting that stress out. Secondly, being able to now there's a new reality. And I would say if you're used to any traditional, way of upbringing like I was with my grandparents and my mom, now you gotta be a little bit more adaptable. You gotta be a little bit more flexible, patient. Understand that my definition of progress is not the same as his. As for example, a Christian. Celebrate the small wins, and I think that acceptance phase for us it became a blessing.
That's yeah, that's good. That's good to get that. I hear that a lot too. Once families get that diagnosis, or they can put a not necessarily to put a label, but a name to it,
Yeah.
and we can move forward.
Oh
And
yeah.
and it sounds like you're just doing an amazing job as a dad and a family to put all those efforts into your family, which is that's what we do as dads, and you're next level doing it. As far as again, I'm not going to pretend to be an autism expert, but we see a lot of campers here on the autism spectrum, and that's something we talk about. And I know in society it's changed and evolved just in recent years. As a parent, how do you look at the spectrum? Is it a do you try to find where your son is on the spectrum, or or is it just a wide spectrum? That's different
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. For us, at the beginning, we try to nitpick and say, okay, he's this, he's that. Okay, he's in this area. He's always been, I would say, high functioning. Obviously being nonverbal at one point, talking. Right now, he still doesn't. He still cannot do a conversation. Like for example, again, if you tell him, "Hey, Christian, good morning," he may repeat. At one point, we would say, "Is he doing it because of echolalia, or is he doing it because he's really telling me good morning to back?" Right? At the beginning, we would try to see if we can nail down whatever we thought he was around. But with time, we just he evolves. There's some months that you say, "Oh my God, what's happening? He's not behaving as usual. He's trying to tell us something." Or there's other months that the progress is you can see from one month to another. It we got to a point that we're just accepting him as him, and we're trying to support whatever he's doing, and we're trying to see whatever behaviors we do see that may be triggering. We just write it down. We talk to any behavioral therapist, and have that conversation. But in regards to just thinking about where he is on the spectrum, we just left that behind and just said, okay, let's move forward.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that with us. That makes me feel better when I'm training our staff for the summer. We'll hire about 50, 60 college students.
Yeah.
They're college students, and they're coming in and they're studious and they're wanting to learn and the
Yeah.
technical sides. And I on the first day, I'm always telling them, like, just don't worry
Just
about all that.
go with the flow.
Yeah, he's the camper. If Christian was coming to camp, I'd be like, he's just Christian.
And that's it.
Yeah, he's not autism, he's not a spectrum, he's Christian,
That's
and
it.
we'll figure it out as we go. So
Yeah.
we're constantly preaching that around here is focus on the person, don't focus on the disability.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
well, good deal. Well, you mentioned, that you had the American dream and you had this idea of what your career and everything was going to be. And obviously, like you said, life threw a curveball, but it sounds like you took those skills. And if you'll kind of tell us a little bit about kind of what you did there and what the Autism Voyage is about.
Of course. So, a lot of things happened throughout the early, I would say, phase, which we talked about denial and all. And obviously, us as parents, we're going to internally ask a lot of hard questions that usually we don't talk to anybody, right? And a lot of those hard questions for me, obviously being in corporate, having pressure at the same time, going through my own again phase, I would ask myself a lot of questions around, hey, what if I pass away? What if my wife passes away with me? What if she passes away without me? And all these questions that I would say most parents ask themselves at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning when everybody's sleeping, but they cannot sleep. And that prompted me to look for my own, I would say, financial advisor or planner. And each time I would meet with any of these professionals, they wanted just to sell me something or recruit me. It became very frustrating for me because nobody really knew one, what was I was going through, and secondly, there's not one size fits all in this type of conversation. So, why? Because from a financial perspective, there's also the estate planning perspective, right? Not everything can be solved with an account or a life insurance. There's much more than that. And the true professional who really understands this type of topic understands that there's several parts in order for this, I would say, machine to start. So again, I started looking for my own advisor. I couldn't find anybody. And I just said to my wife, you know what? We're in corporate. I tried to change employer 2 times to see if I can adjust with this new reality to be able to continue to work but travel less. I couldn't find it. So I just parted ways from the last employer, which mine I would say wasn't in the right place, and said, "Okay, let me see if I can do this myself and see how I can support families like ours." But coming from corporate, I understood that everything starts with education, and that's where the blog. I did other blogs, but this one specifically was the one that I said, okay, if I really want to do this, I need to start providing value first, and that's where the Autism Voyage came about. It's just a blog. It's a blog and newsletter that
Mhm.
talks about any topic any parent would ask, from music therapy, from ABA, from toilet training. Talks about also trust funds for disabled children. And he even has a category for entrepreneurship. Like for me, it's very important. Why? Because it's very difficult to carry a 9 to 5 job when you have a child with 28 hours of therapy or more. So either you go to entrepreneurship and you build your own business, or at least go into entrepreneurship, which is internally, and you get a better job, but at least increase your income and or buy your time back. But basically, that's what I did, and that's what I'm doing now. So it's a blog newsletter, provides value, provides content for parents. I use different type of sources to create these blog posts, even AI, just as a starting point for any parent. And in regards to the services, well, that I do provide in insurance planning, I would say, for parents.
Wow, that you got a lot going on there, and um, yeah, I can't imagine, like you said, all the things that go into it. It's not about just having the money set aside. That doesn't fix the problem.
No.
And the challenge. And I know many families out there face that. So I'm hoping that this podcast will help bring some people maybe to your blog. And I know I was looking at your Facebook page, and you've got a great page there with a lot of information, and that some of these families can benefit from that. You mentioned that you're in the Miami area. Do you find yourself, obviously the internet is universal. Are you helping more families in the Miami area, or is it starting to branch out and you're helping from other states? And I would imagine it probably differs in other states as well.
Yeah, yeah. I would say starting to branch out. I already have obviously families in Utah, Denver. At the end of the day, the blog is it's global, right? But I can serve nationwide, and so I'm getting this expansion. But I think it's a balance right now.
Mm. Well, hopefully we'll get some Alabama folks interested as well. That would be great. Yeah, we work with the Alabama Autism Society, and we do 4 different weekends, autism family weekends. So we'll certainly let them know. We actually have a autism family weekend coming up this weekend, but we're supposed
Yeah.
to have some really bad weather. So after this, I'm going to meet with them and see if we can discuss some alternatives for maybe rescheduling. Our weather this weekend's not looking great. But I would imagine, I'm a father of two myself, and I know raising children is a huge endeavor for all of us. And then, to have a diagnosis like that. But you also mentioned that you have a daughter
Yeah.
uh, who's 3. So
Amanda.
so Amanda. So throwing that in the mix, how is all that working? And Christian and Amanda and
At the end of the day, I think it's a lot of kudos go to my wife, Elisette. She's the champ here. Obviously, raising a family, and my daughter isn't diagnosed. Even though she's going through speech therapy, I have my own, I would say, why she, because obviously with Christian not being able to have a conversation, I would assume that that affects her when she's sharing moments with him. She cannot talk. I assume that that delay is because of that interaction. That cannot be, you know, social or cannot have a conversation, so she cannot imitate or anything. So she's going through her own speech challenges. She's 3 now. But she's beautiful, man. She's the best. Even if she sneezes, you see a tear coming out of my eye. It's the best. But raising a family, and I think it's all about being aligned. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. Now she's a RBT, helping other families because obviously she wanted to get a little bit more in detail and say, okay, true therapy for us truly begins in home. So she said, I want to study to be an RBT to see if I can also help Christian here at home understand the prompts, the tactics, everything the RBT uses. And after she became an RBT, she said, okay, let me see if I can also help other families. So she's doing her own thing around therapies. But I think the key is about just being aligned, understanding that now we're going through this not now. I think we established as a family that we write everything with pencil and not pen. So we understand that we need to be adaptable, we need to be flexible, and we're just going with with the flow and trying to do our best. Right? It's not easy, but we're trying to do our best.
well, you just sound like an amazing family, and I love that y'all are a solid unit doing all this together to make it happen. If there's any families that are listening, for a family that maybe has a neurodivergent child, what would you say, would be the most important thing, or where do you start, or what's step one?
Step one, as a newly diagnosed, you mentioned, or
Yeah,
just newly diagnosed, just understand that this is from for example, from a father's standpoint, I would say don't be so hard on yourself from here on. Understand that there's a quote by a business consultant, or sales consultant, that at one point helped me. He would mention, "Hey, it's not your fault, but it's your problem." So I would say it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. And understand that at the end of the day, it's just take ownership, take accountability, and just be supportive. I understand that works today may not work tomorrow. Understand that progress, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for progress. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's helped us. It's challenging. Sometimes you receive judgment even from family. But that's where I would say the household needs to get closer, right? There's a lot of divorces in this community. I see it a lot, and I think it's because there's for my I'm not a psychologist or anything, marriage counselor, but this either can make you or break you as a couple. And I truly believe that having these type of conversations, being aligned, looking this as not a sprint, a marathon. This is you need to have strategies in place. You need that works only for you. you need to have these conversations, and you need to understand that everybody in the household needs to be aligned. When these type of conversations comes in, now obviously for me, I'm a faith based man. God for us is everything. So just understanding that, just putting God in the middle, and having these conversations will always benefit.
I I'm a faith-based man as well, and I feel the exact same way. And just meeting you today and listening to all this, I know in my heart, that everything there's a bigger plan going on than what we know about. And I just think it's amazing that you've taken this challenge, and now obviously you're doing it for you and your family, but you're helping other
Yeah.
families, and the ripple effects of that. Uh, God only knows, so that's pretty awesome what you're doing. And it's certainly an honor to meet you and hear what you're
Likewise.
doing. I guess last thing to kind of wrap up, want to make sure that people will be able to find you. Is there a website, or how would they search or find to gather more information so that they could maybe ask you some for advice and kind of continue on this path?
Of course. So the website www.theautismvoice.com. There you're going to see the blogs. There you're going to see the newsletter, so you can sign up. Any emails if you want to email me directly. Obviously, from my side, what I offer, any agent can offer. There's no secret sauce. There's no secret product. Sometimes social media wants to exaggerate and put a hook on something and call it something so they can draw you in. But in regards to this, there's no secret. There's no. It's just applying whatever tool or vehicle to a problem statement. But there's no secret sauce. I do want to mention that because sometimes, people get it and engaged and say, "Oh, I can do this." Every family is different. There's no one size fits all. This is a conversation that needs to happen with a team, the same way you have a team with therapists that, for example, we have an RBT, a BCBA, or whatever other team, and we sink in and see how we can work together just for the benefit of Christian, for example. From a financial point of view, I suggest having an A team as well. It's not just a one man team. You should have that insurance agent, whoever you select, also engage with your attorney to see how you can build a plan, because financial services can feed estate planning, and vice versa. Have a good accountant. So my suggestion, even though I didn't want to struggle away with what you asked me, but as a recommendation, I truly believe that having an A team, being have everybody sink in into a conversation and build a strategy based on your family, that for me is the best recommendation I can provide.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. Need another cup of coffee this morning, I
That's
think.
it. That's it.
But I did mean to ask. We talked a lot about, your journey and Christian 7 now, and that early intervention is, trying to get that. Yeah, I guess the flip side of that, what about the family, that's maybe listening to this and thinking, well, we're in our 50s and our
Mm.
60s, and we have an adult son or adult daughter, and is it too late? Have I waited too long? Is or is it something that it's never too late?
Yeah. You know that it's a hard pill to swallow, because that's something I mentioned in other interviews. One of the, I would say, the most common mistake I see parents make, including me at one point, is that we wait too long, but we want a quick fix, and that does not happen, right? A lot of people, again, when you wait too long, things get more expensive, just in life, right? When you wait too long to buy a house, maybe the house increased. The same thing with insurance. When you wait too long, obviously it depends on your age, on a lot of factors. It becomes more expensive. And to be able to build a strategy that makes sense, it's going to be very, very important for you to have these conversations early. And when I say early, early in, as you know the diagnosis, or as you know that you may need help, just have the conversation, right? But have the conversation with a trusted partner. This is where you need to start getting that sense of curiosity and say, okay, right now, if something were to happen to me, can my family support themselves? If no, you already have the answer. And a lot of families, which I do see, which is unfortunate, is that they're in the do it yourself mode. And sometimes you see them in cruise control, but the only thing that they don't realize is that they're going the wrong way. And this is where professionals come in and ask the right questions. For as an example, um, if you already have, let's say, a term insurance, which is simple, right? A lot of families say, "Yeah, I already have one. Perfect. Okay. Now, does it consider your guardian if you pass away? Because if it only considers your child's care, but you have a guardian in place who's assuming responsibility for that child, does that policy include any type of income for that guardian because they're assuming, right, responsibility? They may even leave their job to become a caregiver. For example, a lot of people talk about, hey, get life insurance. If you pass away, your family's going to be a millionaire. Perfect. But what if you don't pass away? What if you get sick? And what if you're 2 years out? I'll know a lot of people who have 2 years of savings just to have it there in a rainy day, right? And these are the type of conversations any parent I would suggest having a special needs child should have as soon as possible. So yeah, that's my recommendation if any.
Right. So do it today.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Today's So, well, good. Well, that's great advice, and we appreciate all your advice, and certainly encourage any families that are going through some of these challenges to reach out and to listen to read your blogs and listen to some of your videos and go to your website and Facebook
Yeah.
and Michael, we appreciate your time this morning. Uh, I wish you guys were closer. I'd love to meet Christian and have him come here as a camper. Maybe one day. Who knows? You never know what the cards hold.
Of
Uh,
course.
but we really appreciate what you're doing um, for other families and
Mhm.
obviously for you and your family. So we wish you guys the best and,
Thank you.
and thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me. Have a good day.
What's happening at ASCA? This is the part of the show where we are going to talk about everything that's happening right here at Camp ASCA.
Hey everyone, it's Elise, and I'm here with your latest ASCA update. We've got a lot of exciting things happening as we gear up for our summer sessions. This weekend, we'll welcome Shepherd Center from Atlanta, Georgia for their annual Adventure Skills Workshop. And the excitement doesn't stop there. Next week, we'll be hosting the Hall Foundation, joining us for a fun-filled time with therapeutic recreation participants from all across Alabama. Around camp, we've also made a fun new addition. There's now a musical area along the path from the pavilion to Mark Roberts Lodge. We can't wait for our campers to create unforgettable memories through music. At the end of the month, we'll kick off program staff orientation, where our team will be trained on all things ASCA and programs to ensure a safe summer for everyone. In the meantime, we're still hiring. We have male and female counselor roles open, along with aquatics, adventure, and nature program staff positions. If you or someone you know is interested, visit campasca.org or check us out on social media. We're counting down the days, and we can't wait to see you all so soon.
Thanks for listening to Camp ASCA, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to you joining us next time. As always, be sure to follow us on social media at Camp ASCA and visit our website, campasca.org, for more information about camp.